here from Warriors Amongst Men, and once again I've not given any notice about going live, but I just wanted to go live because I've got some information that I want to share with you. I hope you're having a lovely day, a lovely week. It's Friday and it's coming to the end of the week, which is interesting that we call it week, isn't it? Because it's like we work all week and we feel weak all week in the weekdays. So we're in a daze all week until the weekend where we're weakened. And that sort of brings us on to what we want to speak about today, because I want to talk about the power of the human mind, because I title this video Why the Elites hide information from us. And what I've learned along my journey is that I understand the power of just myself, really, because I've always put myself in situations where I'm challenged and I'm having to use faith, or I'm having to just trust the process and pushing myself outside my comfort zone, and that can be a scary thing. And what I've learned, right, is obviously there's different laws in this world, and we've got polarity being one of them. There's light and there's darkness within us, and that's always been a fascinating subject for me. Like, what is this angel and devil dynamic? And in this world where the law of mentalism being the main one, what is the role of polarity within ourselves? Because when we talk about light and dark, what is the light? Well, for me it represents awareness, it represents being conscious, and then the dark is unconsciousness. And for example, we have this in us because of the subconscious mind. We have the conscious mind, which is the light side of us, and then we have the subconscious mind, which obviously represents the darker side of us, because it's the more hidden, the shadow side of us. And you know, in our world we live in a holographic reality, and we have this as above so below, as within so without. The holographic world that we live in can tell us a lot about our individual macrocosmic world also. And like, we have a shadow government, the word government meaning to rule or control, and then ment means mental, so to control mind. And we're talking about a shadow, they're controlling the subconscious mind. And obviously information puts your cells in formation, so you are whatever you tune into. Hello if anyone's in the chat, by the way. But yeah, if we think about how this plays out in ourselves, why has information been suppressed over the years? Like, many books have been burnt, many like religious books, scripture, and especially when the Romans took over the Catholic Church, and there was lots of, even at this sort of time, there was witches being burnt. And so the burning of books is very symbolic, because it's burning information that could make us more powerful. And I know this because in my own journey there's been many times where the logical way out of a situation, you know, what you think you should do based on what you can see, and also, hello everyone, yes, my subs are 666. And it's an interesting subject, 666, because it represents the physical domain, this dimension. You're in the human realm right now. We're in the human realm right now. Like, Earth is a realm. The word realm is real. And it's a holographic realm that we're in. And the realm is, I call it Satan's playground in a sense, because if you've lived the word live backwards is devil. Your body is primarily made out of carbon, which represents 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, and 6 protons. So in this experience, that's really what I'm talking about today. We have light and darkness within us. And as we're evolving along this path, it's interesting how the darkness can also bring us a lot of light. When we go consciously into the subconscious mind and we're able to see what's going on in there, we can rewire it, and we can also become aware of our patterns that have been controlling us our whole lives. And the reason why the elites suppress information on this planet is because they know how powerful the human mind is. They know the law of mentalism. Whatever's in the mind shall manifest. And yeah, the 666 represents this physical realm. So sometimes if I see 666 as an angel number, I would see it as maybe a sign that would be, for example, it could be that your attention is too focused on the material realm. Maybe you might be worried about your finances or your survival or something like that. You might be in that sort of animalistic instincts, like, because you have to sort of have that animalistic instinct while you're here on Earth, don't you? Right? It's part of the experience. So yeah, guys, what do you think? Do you think the elite suppress information? Definitely on my mind, says Benno. So I think the mind is a really important part of this process, because your soul, we're sitting in the seat of the soul, operating this vehicle. Every day we wake up is another, you're conscious again, you're here in this realm. And what I'm noticing more and more with the sort of rise of AI and the rise of the pressure that's on humanity and the rise of the darkness in our society, it's also illuminating, for me personally, it's illuminating my own strength. I feel much stronger now. I feel much more aware of my abilities because I've had to overcome so many adversities now. I don't know about you. What sort of adversities have you been going through? Are you getting stronger as these times go on? Although we see things like the weapons against us increasing in power, and that can create a lot of like hazy sort of energy. You've got to be really strong to break through the subconscious mind now, I find. Well, what do you guys think then? What do you guys think? Do you think that the government, and do you think that over time they've suppressed information from us? What is the information? And what do you think is the most important information that's been hidden from us at this time? Because I think it has to do with the laws. It has to do with not just human laws, but I mean the actual laws of how this game works. Dina's in the chat once again. How's it going? I'm talking today about why the elites suppress information. How our minds work, says Benno. Yeah, I think that is the most suppressed information, isn't it? Because what I've learned along my journey is there's just so much depth to it, and it's not just our minds. It's also just our consciousness. For example, with me, like now, if I get myself into a bit of a slump and I start feeling a bit negative, you can go into a downward spiral quite easily. But the same happens in reverse. For me, I always get back to, okay, like I get myself a solid foundation in the physical realm, so I get all my needs met, and I get myself into a good sort of routine and discipline. And now I'm going to the gym like 6 days a week. In the morning, every day, I'll go to the gym. I'll get my notebook out before. Maybe I'll sit down and go on my notebook. But the more I strengthen my body, the more I strengthen my mind, and I'll have more resilience. And and then I'm more disciplined in all areas of my life. So to me, it's interesting that there's so many attacks on the body, like with the foods we're eating, the radiation, all this sort of stuff, the lack of information about the food we should be eating, that is also suppressing us. Because think about people with serious illnesses and stuff like that. They're on Mattress Island, they can't even get out of bed. So imagine how stagnant the mind is in that sort of state. Sometimes we're not aware of actually how brilliant we are, in a sense, of the freedoms that we do have, that we can, still operate and go around in this world. Yeah, there is so much information hidden from us. It's so true. But this is why I love exploring consciousness. I love exploring and meditating. Like I start doing yoga and I'm like elite at stuff. But again, it's not like you just do it once. It's got to be a discipline to maintain that frequency. And that's the other thing. Information all contains frequency. And what I've seen is, it's like every chakra that you're in. If you're in like the root chakra might be blocked or something like that, and you're in that sort of lower animalistic energy, and maybe you're around sort of bitchy sort of energy in that realm. And it's the difference between getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning and going out and there's the weather's not very nice or something, and maybe you went out at 9:30, because it's what manifests in our holographic experience which determines our reality, isn't it? Unblock your chakras and the information comes. Yeah, so true, so true. But we're talking about, the word chakra is a spiraling vortex, so we're talking about spirals again. And I was just talking about spiraling up in energy or spiraling down in energy. What do you think about Jesus, also part of Satanism? I opened my throat chakra years ago, nothing much since. I think with regards to the chakras, you've got to put effort into it. Like, what helped me open my chakras was I literally started making videos on it. So spending 5 minutes talking about each chakra, literally by the end of it, I'd just spoken all of my chakras into it. You know what I mean? Everything just like glowed up because of that, So you got to take action. That's how we do it. And that's what, again, it comes back to rituals, doesn't it? Because you can do a whole ritual about opening each chakra in that sense. Because energy contains momentum. What do I think about Jesus, also part of Satanism? Well, what angle are you coming at this from? Yeah, breath work helps big time with the opening the chakras. Yeah, 100%. I love doing, even like singing, for example. Singing, you're getting yourself into a certain frequency. If that's what you love, there's different activities you can do that like really activate your whole body. My chakras really woke up when I started going to the gym, and I was doing like rollouts and stuff, and really exercising my body, pushing my mind to limits. You know what I mean? If you're on the treadmill and you keep upping the speed and you stay on there for ages, your mind wants to give up. But if you keep going, like, you're overcoming it, and you're like forging yourself into a warrior mentally, and then you're capable of anything when you come out of there. So it can be anything. Not the church, just the person of Jesus. Well, first of all, yeah, a lot of what people about something like Jesus comes from books like the Bible and stuff, but then you got to think, well, who wrote these books? Which, there's a lot of like manipulation in it. So yeah, when it comes to like the Bible and stuff, I don't trust really all of that. There's still a lot of probably good things in there, because you have to give people, if you want to put poison in, if you want to give someone poison, you have to cover it with 90% potion, right? And it's the same with the truth. If I give you loads of truth but I feed you one lie, then you're still going to have your perception poisoned. Benno says, I remember having a few month period where each chakra area all vibrated like clearing. I remember my ear ringing so hard my head was like a tuning fork. Yes, exactly. Again, it's all frequency waves, isn't it? And it's interesting when your chakras awaken, you start to think differently, and you're more capable of things, and you're not scared of things like you were before. So really, it does come, the information that they've hidden from us is all about the operating your vehicle. And I think when we speak about Jesus and stuff, the truth about it is the human experience. Whether it's Jesus, was he a man or was he not? Like, the spiritual thing is you're having a human experience. You know, what is it all about? And stories like Jesus and religion and all that, I think is ultimately it's for you to figure out what your life is all about. You know, what is this realm? And I think with regards to God, why a lot of people have belief in God is because, you know, there's definitely more realms than just this earthly realm. You know, there must be other heavens and different dimensions. This is just one realm. And is there a higher force? There's definitely a higher energy guiding us, whether it's your higher self, whether it's you know, God, however you want to look at it. There's definitely a guiding force, and again, you have to make sure your vehicle is tuned correctly, and then you get the right information come through. So yeah, I would recommend spiraling upward for anyone that's watching this, because either way we're spiraling beings, and we're, you know, and so for me, I'm just being aware of those things, being more disciplined, and it's then coming out into the rest of my life. But don't be scared of the shadows. Don't be scared of going into the darkness within the mind and learning more about it. But I do have a question about that, actually. So what do you think of this? Like, if you have some sort of trauma in your subconscious mind, if you have some sort of trauma in your subconscious mind, and you go into some sort of hypnotic state, or you meditate and you go in there and you think about it, are you manifesting more of it because you're amplifying the energy, or are you making space for you being able to consciously navigate it, you know, to understand it from a different perspective? You know, I think it's the latter. I think it's, yeah, obviously digging around in there, it's going to amplify those vibrations, and that might manifest in your life. That can be a scary thing. You know, but this is why I think that we have shamans and sort of spiritual guides and people that have gone through it before. Like, the only thing that got me into YouTube was going through it myself. Like, when I went to that dark place years ago, I was like wanting to just give up on life, but it was almost like, well, I could give up now, or I could just face my fears and just be the best version of myself ever, and do all the things that I wanted to, you know, all the things that was holding me back. And you know, because I got to that breaking point, it was actually a breakthrough. And I think that's what shamans and spiritual teachers are for, is like, when we're having these healing times, you've got it's nice to be with someone that understands the subconscious mind, or understands, you know, trauma and things like that, and can help ground you whilst you're going through those things. That's why I do what I do on here, because I think a lot of people go through stuff, and there's not many people that you know, can be there for us, because I think God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called, right? He doesn't wait for you to go to college. He just starts qualifying you. When you feel called, you're going to have lessons, and then you're going to learn. And I think that's life. I dress it up with the words like God. Tina says, I think releasing it. That's how I unblock chakras. People in the chat, difficult. Too much emotions to be able to see it from another perspective. I don't know if you ever can get rid of traumas. Yeah, well, I think really when we experience a trauma, something shocking happens, our whole nervous system takes like a screenshot, and then that goes into the subconscious. And now if that event sort of happens again, that screenshot comes to the surface, and you're sort of flooded with that same exact frequency of the trauma. And that's why, you know, that's why trauma bonds form. That's why the satanic network traumatized people in order to program them. And that's why humanity's been traumatized over and over again, so that we can just be triggered into a state of control, basically. Benno says, have heard of people's lives falling apart after a full awakening. Sort of why I haven't taken it as seriously as I should, but regardless, life fell apart anyway. Yep. Well, that's what it's like, isn't it? The caterpillar heard of other caterpillars going into the cocoon and becoming butterflies, and then one day it happened to him. Inevitable. My traumas woke me up, and releasing them opened my chakras. Indeed, and that shock creates your reality somehow. Yeah, so for me, like, a big part of my work over the years has been doing like personalized subliminal affirmations, and yeah, I do that for other people, but only really because that's how I feel myself. That's how I do with myself. If anything, if I ever have some sort of physical ailment, I always look up what that means spiritually, and it's usually very spot on. And then I'll find an affirmation for it, and then I'm healed. Because it's all mind-body connection. So yeah, be aware of the power that we have, guys. We don't have to be controlled by our traumas, but we can recognize them, and we don't have to keep putting ourselves in situations that keep re-triggering our traumas. So when you know your traumas, there is certain things you can do to heal the nervous system, subliminals and breath work and different somatic techniques. But also you can just create a life where you're not keep getting triggered. You're like, I'm in Vietnam, I've got a whole new reality whilst I create what I need to be creating at this time. I'm in a whole new reality. So I'm free to create new patterns in my subconscious, which is why I love traveling. And I know I'm very lucky to be here, but I'm only here because of my frequency. I'm only here because I'm very brave and very courageous, and that's what it takes. And it doesn't mean to say it's easy, but it's not easy either way. Whatever you choose in life, it's not easy. So you gotta, really feel it and follow your intuition. I'm in the limbo stage of creating a new life right now, actually. Yeah, the new world is emerging. And I think for spiritual people, it's very sort of difficult. You go through an awakening and then new frequency, and it's very, it's easy to want to hold on to what's breaking away, and that can be a whole process because of neurons in our brain. And this is why we need, I like listening to the older generations that have gone through things, because they can always sympathize, and we're all portals to God. What else is going on in the chat? I have been learning about the nervous system and how to help it. Like in the Matrix, Neo's like, what, so this isn't real? And Morpheus says, well, what is real? What you can see, hear, smell, taste, you know, and feel. That's just electrical signals interpreted by your brain. It's just your nervous system connected to this reality. And the nervous system, yeah, it is very important to learn about, because it's like the connection pathway to this holographic reality. How do you understand shadow work or integration of the shadow? It's such a broad subject, really, isn't it? Shadow work. But I think it's good to have a good moral compass, because sometimes we can be like, oh, I'm just integrating my shadow, but is it even good for you? You have to have a good compass when you're dealing with your own shadow. And so really as well, like, we can get so caught up in these names and stuff, but in reality we've got the past, the present and the future. And I find, because of the things we go through and the programming we have, we then get caught in the past, and we're constantly thinking about things in the past, or because we keep getting traumatized in the present, we're hoping for a better future, and we keep thinking, right, tomorrow I've got to do this, and we're always constantly thinking about the future. But the energy's right in this present moment. And for example, other people even can, like, have you ever heard of Les Brown, a motivational speaker? He was saying that when he was in school, the teacher asked him something, and he said, no, I can't figure that out because I'm diagnosed mentally retarded or something. And then the teacher was like, don't ever say that again, because, you know, just don't let what someone else has told you what you are become the reality of who you are. You know, and sometimes we can get caught up in these things like, oh, I've got this wrong with me and I've got that wrong with me, and then that becomes our identity. And sometimes it's because someone else told you got diagnosed something. Look, at the end of the day, I've probably got something. I've got some sort of ism, but I just never went to the doctors. I never got diagnosed, and therefore it's never affected me, and I've always been able to do the things that I've been able to do. By not ignoring the person you have been ashamed of. Yeah, that's the other thing as well. I think when it comes to shadow work, a big part of it is betrayal energy. Where have you been betrayed? Where have you betrayed yourself? Where are you betraying other people? And that can be a guiding system with regards to the shadow work that we have to do. You know, it's easy to point the finger and blame others, but that doesn't really bring any growth to us, does it? But yeah, guys, I've got to go now. I've been on a rant for a while now, but I hope you enjoy these live sessions. It's good to speak to you guys. If you want to work with me one-to-one, get in touch with me. The link is in the description to all my services. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'm going live every other day, really, if I can. So maybe I should make this a regular thing and tell you an exact time. But yeah, I hope you enjoy these sessions, and I'll see you soon. Peace and love, my friends.